Hello everybody, Average Gamer here. Welcome to a spur of the moment video. So, I was sitting around today trying to figure out what I should do for a video. And I came to the realization here. I'm just going to scrap these guys. There we go. That I should do a video because people have been asking me about, what unit do I use the most in the game? Some tips and tricks and all that stuff. And I realized there is one thing about this game that I don't know I've really told people or explained why. And that is, what's my favorite unit in the game? Why is it my favorite unit in the game? And what can it really do? Or how does it impact the game? And I'm going to give you guys the answer to that question. So what is my favorite unit? Well, you're actually looking at 7 different variants of the same unit that I use the most. Now, most people will scoff at this. Most people will say, well, that's a useless unit. I don't understand. And most people will say, I kind of understand, but I don't understand why it's your favorite. And that is the engineer / combat engineer. So we have multiple different generations of the combat engineer. So, for example, here we have engineers from, I believe it's the 20s and the 30s. Here we have engineers from the 40s. Here we have engineers from the 70s and 80s. Here is the 80s and 90s. Same with this one. This one's the 90s and early 2000s, and then this is the later variant. Now there's other engineers and all sorts of stuff in the game, but I just wanted to get basically 7 that just looked different, so you guys could actually see. I'm actually going to space bar just to move those ones out of the town there of Kala and talk to you about why these are my favorite units. Number one, the reason why they're my favorite units. They're cheap to produce. They don't take up much supply. They help build your production facilities. What I mean by that is, you can actually build your production facilities way faster than you could without these guys. So, for example, I think we're short because we're playing as Florida. Are we short on rubber? Technically, we're not, I don't think. No, we're not short on. What are we short on here? We're short of food. So I need to build myself some food. So our people need, obviously, food. And also, in conjunction with all that, our Navy can't go into port. What is this? That's another engineer. We'll put you over there. Has no locations for it to go on a reserve. No locations for it to repair. It just has the ports. The ports of Jacksonville, Tampa, and Miami. And we have to, give those guys the ability to, rearm, repair, and all that stuff. So, with that in mind, we're going to do 2 things. Number one, I'm going to show you guys how these engineers can help construct civilian buildings, so in this case food, and then military buildings. So first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to produce the civilian building. So we're going to go into our agriculture, bring up our agriculture tab here, and look to see where we should be building some food. This would give us 148 tons, 143, 43, 47, 46. This is already producing 2,900. So obviously that would... I think 48 is our biggest. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say build some production there, please. Now, if I just click on the land tab and click here, for example, it says it's going to take 60 days for these agricultural facilities to build. Everyone knows this. Everyone knows how long it takes them and all this stuff. But watch this. So first I'm going to move these guys over there. And I'm going to show you what 1 day does. So 1 day is 2%. It's 2% per day right now with just the way it is. No big deal, right? Now we're going to just get rid of those notifications. We're going to tell all these guys, we're going to select construction and order them to that location. We're also then going to click the land tab and we're going to watch. So initially it was 2% per day. equaling up to obviously 60 days. Well, now, if we have one full stack of engineers there, it will take 4% a day. It's now going to take 57 days. And obviously at 4% a day, that's dropping things drastically. So, as you can see here, the engineers are basically making the building more efficient. They're going to take they're going to take less resources for you. So less industrial goods, overall construction, less money, because the constructions are going to be done even sooner. So that's basically how the engineers can build civilian buildings. Now, how can they build military buildings? To be honest with you, it's the exact same way. You pick whatever you want to build. In this case, we want to build one naval production facility. Now, we need to build it specifically in a location that is off the coast. I want to be protected a little bit, so we're going to build it there. We're also going to build with it an airbase. We're going to throw in a barracks. We're going to put in a supply depot and a radar station. We're also going to build real quick a road connecting it. So there we go. Those are all building now. So what are we going to do? Well, we're going to select a whole stack of these guys, and we're going to say construct. So right now, per day, we're looking at 85 days, 25 days, or 80 days, 25 days, 20 days, 120 days, 80 days. On our first day, we're going to click the button here because I haven't actually ordered them to do anything yet. We're looking at 5% for the barracks, 2% for the supply depots, 4% there, 1% there, 1% there, 0% for the naval production. And we're looking at, for the overall military complex itself, 5%. So now we're going to order these guys to do construction. I'm also just going to get rid of those. Wait till these guys show up. We're playing on obviously the fastest speed. There we go. So let's look at the building's going to take the longest here. The naval production. So it's 0% for 120 days. Well, now it's 2% a day. So 100%, if it took 1% a day, that'd be 100 days. Well, now it's taking 2% a day, which means it's actually going to take only 50 days to produce all this. So you're going to save 50% on your goods. What does that mean? Well, here's the part, and here's one of the reasons why I love these units so much. These things will actually positively, significantly positively, impact your economy. One, you're using less resources to build things, less money to build things. Buildings are coming up faster, which means they'll have a bigger impact, or they'll have their impact sooner in your economy. You're able to plan a little bit better and more efficient with your time and associated with what your plans are going to be, what you're going to do, and how things are going to be. Overall, it's a cheap unit. It takes up next to nothing when it comes to money and goods in comparison to its benefits. So right now we already have the main industrial complex done for these guys, and very soon we'll have those guys because they're halfway done already. The guys over here, for example, look at that. The barracks is almost done. The military complex is almost done. And the supply depot is almost 0.25% done. Actually, it's almost the airfield as well. So overall, it has a very, very good impact for a very, very low overhead. Economically speaking, it's probably, in my eyes, the most cost-effective unit in the game. Because it can do so many things and impact so many ways. I'm loving this unit as I learn more. So, how do you know what unit is an engineer? Well, I'm going to show you. What you're looking for is this little tab right here. It says, obviously, engineer on it. Most of them will also say engineer in the title. Every now and then you get one or two that don't. But you want to specifically see the tab that says engineer. As long as you see that, you're laughing. You know you can get these production. This is from the 80s. Overall, this is the one unit that I have. If you've been watching a lot more games, I've been playing and utilizing a lot more, or trying to research to as fast as I can. Because once you have engineers and you deploy your engineers and have them helping with your construction and helping doing all this work, it really, really positively impacts your game. Now, a couple things you need to know. Yes, it does actually stack. So, for example, if I now order all these guys, and there's actually a unit in here that doesn't do it. Where did I screw that up? It's these guys right here. These guys are actually demo units. We're going to order them to scrap. Those are marine amphibious landing craft. I have no idea why I had the number. We're going to highlight all these guys. There we go. We're going to say construction. And we're going to select the military base. Now, they will once they're ordered to do this, no matter where they end up. So, for example, actually, let's actually order all these guys here to do construction over here first. What will happen is it stacks. Now, it gets less and less efficient the more and more and more. Actually, I'm going to move them there just because they have like forever to go to it. It does get less efficient the more engineers you throw on a job and the more they have to deploy away. So the further away they are, obviously, the less effective they are. But believe me, it is such a very, very worthwhile investment. Now we should see momentarily now that everyone's there. So we can actually see that there is just a drastic increase. Now, it's not like, you know, you can get buildings done in like 2, 3, 4 days, but it's cutting the production costs and times by 60%, 40% in some cases. And that is actually, in my eyes, more effective and way better than any other unit in the game. I can have infantry, yeah, they can capture me stuff and capture me resources. But if I can't build on the resources, that infantry unit did what it did, but it really can't do much. On the other hand, an engineer unit can capture a location, can defend a location, and then can also build the facility on the location, help build the facility on the location. That's why I'm actually starting to integrate engineers into my units of 7. I'm trying to figure out a way of doing infantry, artillery, supply, and engineers. So I have every group have at least one group of engineers, one group of artillery, one group of supply, infantry, artillery, tanks, anti-tank. Have a very good mix of everything in a group of 7. Now, technically, I mean, and anti-aircraft units as well. One thing that was advised to me, someone made the comment, and I don't know whether it was off the cuff, but technically, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 there's 6 in total. So you can have 2 of one, and then 1 of everything else in your group, in your unit, division, company, army group, whatever you want to call it. And I realized that's actually not a bad idea. Have 1 artillery, 1 air defense, 1 transport, 1 anti-tank, 1 tank, 1 recon, and then maybe 2 infantry units in a group of 7, and have them move out slowly and surely, methodically, specifically with the specific intent of doing specific things. Now that could get, and theoretically can get, very expensive. But in the end run, right, it's one of these things where it's like, well, look at that. We're already done. We've only been playing for a few days. And we already have completely completed the thing here with the food. I think the one has like a day left. Yeah, it's got 1 day left. And it's going to be completed. We're getting some agricultural requests. The stuff over here is getting pretty done. Boom, done. Construction. ruin. Now, a lot of people are going to ask how I got these units specifically into the game. I cheated them in just so I could show you guys how to get them in there. But basically, just research them, produce them. One stack of 7 can save you, I think it's like 10 to 20% of your resources and your money on a construction site. The more stacks of 7, the more money you save, the more effective and the better things become. So that's my tip. That's my favorite unit in the game for Supreme Ruler / Supreme Ruler Great War, the Engineer. In my eyes, the most underrated unit in the game. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye-bye.